Well, I am Pops. And I'm going to talk to you about witches. I know, Pop. What? Why are we talking about? Why are you even reading witches? Listen, Amazon picked it up, and I thought, well, let me check this out. And I'm very conflicted. You guys may have to help me a little bit to figure out what to do here because I'm not quite sure I know. And I'm actually shocked because the original story didn't mention this was going to be an adaptation that was going to be animated, and that may change things a little bit on my perspective. But let me get to the story. This is Variety. Variety had the exclusive report on this first. This is a Scott Snyder. The artist is named Jock. And Amazon has ordered an animated adaptation of the comic book series Wytches. The comic is created by Scott Snyder and Jock. It tells the story of a 17-year-old Sailor Rooks whose family moves to a remote New England town after a tragic accident, only to discover that a burrow of monsters, ancient creatures that prey on our darkest fears and desires, lurks beneath the town. They're involved here with all the creators. Driven by the pairing of Scott and Jock, along with partners at Plan B and Project 51 Productions, Wytches fuses the nail-biting horror and gritty drama while in the dark lore surrounding an ancient burrow of witches. She's reading the press release, right? So not a lot there, but then she says, given the haunting and intimate nature of Scott and Jock's well-regarded comic book series, we're looking forward to delivering their creative vision to our global audience and expanding our growing roster of animated series. And I'm like, okay. Now, again, the original thing I saw didn't mention it was animated. And when I first picked up the first issue or so, I thought, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say it looks woke, but it looked pretty woke, right? She's like the pink, purple-haired weirdo, nasty, profanity, the girl is the key to everything, Marvel jokes, those kinds of things. There's a when we see her in school, we see her with a friend who talks about like this teacher, and it's so off-putting. It's like, oh, be careful for like how he's going to brush up against you, like being a penis joke, like he's going to try to brush up against you kind of thing. And you're like, what on earth? Like, Scott, like, what are you talking about? Is this a thing? Is what? Like, I don't know. So I was not impressed at all when I first read the first couple issues, but then I got further into it and I thought, well, there are actually a lot of good elements here as well. And I didn't dislike the ending. I thought it ended pretty strong. Let me go back to the Variety article though. Let me go back over here real quick because I want you to kind of at least hang with me at least a little bit here on my thought process because I don't actually know what to think. It says, okay, so this is the it's originally published in 2014, 2015. Wytches is possibly my most personal work, which I thought was very, very strange. It's all about monsters that dwell beneath the surface of things, both literally and figuratively. It's been intimately involved with the animated series from the start. I can honestly say I love this show as much as the book, if not more. The animation brings the incredible art by Jock to life, and the episodic format expands the world of Wytches, taking the characters and mythology to terrifying new places. Jock and I are deeply grateful to Plan B Entertainment, blah, 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 blah. The chance to make this show dark, personal, twisted, and very special. Well, I can say this. His story, it definitely is like episodic. Like there's only a few issues. It's not a very long series. And it is the kind of like thing where you can see how this could basically very quickly and easily be adapted to TV with very minimal changes. And you can stay very close to the source material. So if you are a fan of the show, of the book, you might probably be a fan of the show. If you're a fan of like Amazon does other adult work, like, obviously Invincible is a big one. The Legend of Vox Machina, it's obviously got a third season. So I was kind of like, well, I don't know. So there's like, when you read it and you have like, this is the good dad. And by the way, it never gets addressed. Like, why does he have this strange Ferris wheel tattoo on his right arm? It's so strange. And like they draw it all the time. And I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to get from the tattoo. So someone's going to explain to me this quote, deep metaphor I'm supposed to get from that tattoo, by the way. I don't get. I will say that I enjoy the fact that he's like good dad trying to be a good dad and really trying to do his best to save the girl and protect her and understand what's going on. And this is a good sample of the art in different places. I didn't really want to get into too many of the spoilers of the creatures because I wasn't quite sure how they were going to do the creature designs. I will say it is at least very dark and edgy. I thought they were going to go for an actual adaptation, almost like the Castle Rock show that they did over on Hulu. I thought was a very kind of like eerie, creepy type of feel. And it seems like again, I think the thing is interesting, and I saw this with Wednesday as well. They live in a woke world. The show may not be woke, but they live in a woke world. So therefore, a lot of the language and some of the stuff that they say and do, it placates to that crowd and that type of disposition. Whereas the story itself is a very traditional story with a lot of elements of, good dad fighting for his family, fighting for his little girl, trying to protect her, monsters and creatures, the issues that we have of our own past, his own struggles still sort of out there haunting him, I think is very interesting. So there's a lot of good things. And I will say it's also very small. It's not like it has to have this, massive cast and different characters. So I'm wondering, now that I know that it's animated, will they dabble with an animated version and then try to level it up to something that gets live action at some point? Maybe. The other thing I think is very important too, why I wanted to cover this too, is it's another ping for Amazon showing they're for real in playing against Netflix. Like, forget about Paramount. I mean, Peacock's completely dead. No one's talking about Peacock. And then, of course, the Disney Marvel machinery, who they're just a floundering mess. They don't even have the cash right now to deal with this Hulu situation they have hanging over their heads, even though they have all these productions that are allegedly coming. I don't know how all it's going to work. But Amazon and Netflix seem to be the two that are jockeying for position with some of these different IPs, if you will. I don't know which is an IP, but at least it's something they can adapt. And it at least should raise the conversation and question whether or not that's the right kind of growth or not, whether it'll work or not. So anyway, that's the thoughts. I'd love to hear from you guys on it. If you've ever read Wytches, heard of Wytches before, I'm going to call it a very soft recommend. It's okay. It's not stupendous. It's not great, but it was interesting and it was dynamic enough that I didn't hate it. I don't know that I would read it again, but I didn't hate it. So that's my general take on Wytches, who will now be over on Amazon coming soon. Thank you so much. I am Pops.